Hey, it's snowing, gangbusters. Come on. I just posted a couple shorts. It's snow. We got a winter weather advisory posted for here in VT, Vermont. Greetings, everybody, with another one. With the cool, how do you say this? Koolehaoda. Koolehaoda? Koolehaoda. Professional gimbal head, tripod head, aluminum alloy, heavy duty, 360-degree panoramic with Arca Swiss standard quarter-inch QR plate for DSLR cameras up to 55.11 pounds. Ooh, there's a mouthful. This is what it looks like. I picked this up. Kind of an interesting story behind this. I'm going to show you what it's all about, and I will go into some things that I like and I dislike about this. Now, I picked up, let me see, I picked up another tripod, a gimbal head, right, that is more of a traditional, it's like a Wimberley. I think that's what they're called, traditional gimbal head. And the difference between this one and that one, the reason why I sent that one back, it was all aluminum, very heavy. This thing is super, super light. This thing is incredibly light. It's a truss setup. So anybody who knows anything about, I'm a ham radio operator, so towers are built on a truss system, and they're surprisingly strong for their size. So this is basically a truss system. That's why it can take 55 pounds. It's a lot of weight. I throw around 40-pound bags of pellets for the pellet stove all the time. Throw them up on my shoulder. And I'll tell you, 10 pounds more than that, sitting on a tripod, yeah. That's a lot of weight, Johnson. I don't know what you put on there. I don't know what you could put on there that would be 55 pounds, but holy crap. Anyways, considering the lens that is on there right now is about 8.5 pounds plus the camera body, which is, I don't know, a couple pounds, if that. The 90D is very, very light. That's one thing I love about the 90D, but it's not about that. Cheers. Scotch. On the rocks. Never more than 2 cubes. Anyways, welcome to the channel. We're going to talk about this gimbal head. And let me get this over here, see if I can do a little adjustment here. I think you can see it pretty good right there. So this is that Koolehaoda professional gimbal head. Paid about $156, $157 before tax. Now the other gimbal head was much cheaper. It was about $80 maybe. What I found and it was one of those budget gimbal heads, and it was really nice, surprisingly nice gimbal head. The problem with that one is this is for field use, and I need it to be light. I don't want that. You should have seen how heavy that thing was. It was ridiculous. Now, this thing is feather light compared to that. The one thing, and that's the reason why I sent the other one back and I bought this, is because I wanted something light that would go on the pack, right? So, let me take my microphone and move it a little bit more into the kill box, because I know the last video I was kind of, it wasn't quite right there, so. Anyways, so this is the 200 to 400 LIS 1.4. I have the 90D on here, and this is the Koolehaoda gimbal head, and it's a nice head. I have it balanced, and she doesn't go anywhere. However, this compared to the other head, this has an inherent amount of tension on the vertical tilt. So it is not, it's very smooth, it's glass smooth, but there's quite a bit of tension on it, and the knob is actually spun completely out, right? Now the other head, I could micro adjust the tension on it, or a swivel, and vertical tilt. This one I pretty much can't, and I don't know why. The only thing I can think of is that the thread pattern, threads per inch on the knobs, are coarse. They're not fine. So it's very difficult to get the tension that's nice. Now, I can take this and I can literally, it's very, very fluid, right? As far as panning goes. And it's almost too fluid. I find that more often than not, I've got to put my hand, normally I have this on the other side, but for video purposes, I mounted the camera this way. Normally it's the other way around, so this is on the left side. Because my shutter, all the controls are on the right side, and I control the camera with my right hand, and I run the gimbal and everything else with my left hand. So normally this is on the other side, but for the sake of this video, we're going to do it this way. So, and you can see that, yes, it does hold the camera. I did adjust it. It's balanced. And for those of you, there's a great video online on how to set up your gimbal with any particular piece of glass, right? So what I'm going to do, let me just pop this off. Get it off. Set this down. And do some freaking weightlifting, man. Okay, so what we've got on here is we have a sliding scale. I'm not going to move it because I have it adjusted. And you can see when I touch it with my fingers, it's got, see how it comes back very slowly? So it's almost like it's hydraulic or something. It's very interesting. Very, very smooth. See how that wants to return back to normal? Bring it all the way up. Let it go. See that? It doesn't just fall. Now the other gimbal head, if it was all the way loose, it would just fall. It would be like back and forth. This one doesn't do that. Now this is an Arca Swiss mount. And like I said in the previous video, one of the videos a couple back with the 200-400 LIS, which is what you just saw, that this came with a very large foot, which is great, which is what you need. And this thing is heavy duty. It's solid, right? I mean, I'm bouncing the freaking tripod on the floor, banging on it. The one issue I have with this, aside from its lightness, right? So if you take, I always check for play and everything. So I grab it, and I grab the tripod, and I try to move it up and down, and that thing doesn't move. And this tension adjustment on the swivel is backed all the way out. It is rock. There's zero play in this, which is really sweet. Now, the other gimbal I got, when this was backed all the way out, and it was allowed it to swivel, I could jiggle this up and down, and it had a little bit of play. It would rock back and forth. I didn't like that. I don't like that when you're talking about a $4,000 piece of glass sitting on there. It was very smooth, and it had micro adjustment ability so that you could control the tension on it. So this one feels like it's got micro adjustment, right? And I just tightened it down. Let me tighten it down so it's holding right there. See how that falls? And I'll back this out. See how it falls? So in theory, with nothing on it, it does work. as far as adjusting the tension. See that? Now, yes, you can lock it down. So if I go like this and I tighten it up really tight, it doesn't move. I'm pushing down with... That's a lot of pressure. That's probably 20 pounds of pressure. I could not get it to move. So yes, it will lock in position. Here's the catch with this. You can see right through here. I don't know if you can see that. Yes, you can. See that shiny shaft? That's the tensioning shaft from the swivel knob. This is very... Now you got to consider how heavy that lens is, how big it is, and the inertia. Once you start swiveling it, things in motion tend to stay in motion, right? So even though this, I can tap it, and this is backed all the way out right here. This is all the way out. I'm tapping it. See how that doesn't just whip around? Well, if I want to tighten this up so that it doesn't swivel quite as freely, I can tighten this up and go to just to the point where there's a little bit of tension. Oh, see, there's a stop right there. And I think what that is, see that? I can push it beyond that point, but it gets very, very stiff. It gets very rough. Then there's a free spot right here. So the only way you can really run this is full loose. And I think, I don't know why they did this. This is the GH3, by the way. This is GH3. So let's say you were going to, which I would not do. I know people do it. I won't do it. I'll just pop the lens off, the whole rig off, the tripod, and I'll put it on my... This is why I have a shoulder strap. Because this, I want this safe. I don't want this. This thing's heavy. I don't want it falling off in the friggin' trail or something like that. So I think the reason why that there is a what do you call it? A catch in there, right there. That catch. Now, if I back this all the way out, there's no catch. I think what this is when you move it to here and you lock it down, it's a stop and it can't go anywhere. So let's say I take the tripod. So I have the leg right here facing forward, which is where the lens will be hanging. So let's spin this around. This is the way the lens normally goes on, right? So let's tighten this up. Oh, there's a catch right there. There's a bunch of catches. So I think this is a lock position where you can tighten this down, give it a good crank, and that thing ain't going anywhere. Yeah. So let's say I wanted to be able to adjust the tension on the swivel, right? This is what I found. I have to spin the tripod. See if I can knock the lens over in the process. So I'll spin it 90 degrees. Okay? So let's check it now. So let's tighten it up a little bit. No, there's still a catch in there. So let's spin it another 90 degrees. I always want the tripod legs, the leg, I want the lens hanging over a leg. I don't ever want the lens hanging in free space over a tripod like this, right? Because the weight is hanging over there. So I always want a leg. Pull the lens over, Johnson. I always want a leg out in front. So we just rotated it, so that's 180 degrees. So let's check that out. No, see? There's a catch, so that the lens would be pointed this way. So there's really no way to position this. Let's go one more. I'm doing this to prove a point. So let's say I want to apply a little bit more tension on this to keep the swivel. Nope. It's got a catch. Now this is smooth. Still not really smooth. So the only way to run this gimbal is basically wide open on the swivel. And I'm telling you, without lens on there, that thing is freaking wily. It's wily. But it is glass smooth. It's almost like it's hydraulic. So there's pretty much no tension adjustment on the swivel portion of this gimbal. That is the main drawback to the gimbal, this particular gimbal. I will take that as opposed to the excess weight, because this thing is feather light compared to the other one. I mean, it is really light. I mean, we're talking really with my pinky. I could stand here, I could sit here and hold this with just my little finger for probably a few minutes. That's how light it is. And yet it will hold 55 pounds. Something to consider if you're packing something and you need a gimbal for a big piece of glass. It does have a bubble level right here. And one last thing, which I find pretty interesting. Some Arca Swiss mounts have a quick release, like a lock mechanism. This does not. This just has a threaded knob, which clamps down on the mounting plate. Now, here's the interesting thing, right? And it has a markings on it, so you can set this, right? You can set this. You can put a mark on your Arca Swiss plate, and you can set that Arca Swiss plate to line up with these lines if you have different lenses. So you can drop it on. Every time you put it on, it'll be in the same spot, and it'll always work. It'll always be balanced for you. You know, if I had the 70-200 Sigma, this obviously will have to go up here. It'll have to go up, and I'll have to rebalance it. And I can put a mark on the Arca Swiss plate on the foot as to where to set it into the base plate. And I never have to jerk around with it again. That's the advantage to the scale. And the scale on here as well. So this is actually set to it's set right on 0 at the bottom. And the lighter the lens, the higher you'll need to go on this. Right? That's what I found. Up. And this is also marked with a scale as well. So, you know, you can drop a smaller lens or a different lens on here that has a different balance point. And when you make the adjustment, just make sure you remember, let's say this is set on 0 and the, let's say 70-200 Tamron 2.8 G2 will be set at 30. So this carrier will be set at 30. And then you have your scale here so you know how far forward or backward the lens needs to sit to be perfectly balanced, right? So you can go up, take your hands off it, it doesn't go anywhere. You can go down, take your hands off it, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't just like fly around and slam into the tripod leg and stuff like that. So the interesting thing about this knob, the tensioner, and this is why I don't know if I would trust this. This is a coarse thread, and you can see it right in here. Two things. The coarse thread allows rapid clamp down. Right, so I can take this. Drop it into the base plate. Line it up. 2, 3, 3. 3 turns. I didn't mark it. Three turns, and she is right there. Right? It needs to come back a little bit. I haven't marked it yet. So it's very, very quick. The problem with a coarse thread is that coarse threads are more prone to stripping. So would I ever carry this with that sort of lens on this ball head if it wasn't stationary? Absolutely not. No way. Because of that coarse thread. Now, would it ever let go? I don't know. The way this is designed is that you can leave the jaws of the base plate completely open, and nothing will ever happen. Nothing will ever fall off because this does not back all the way out. You can't back this knob all the way out, so you won't lose it in the field. Same with all these other knobs. They have stops, right? So, is it worth it? I can tell you that this thing is like freaking butter smooth. It is butter smooth. It's strong, definitely capable of holding any piece of glass. So there you go. Is it worth $150, $160 compared to other gimbals for the weight savings? Freaking weight savings alone. I mean, this thing is strong. If you know anything about truss systems, they're incredibly strong. So likelihood you'll ever break this, you'd have to throw it out of the back of a truck with the camera and lens on it, probably at about 100 miles an hour. Watch it tumble down the road, and yeah, maybe the thing will come apart. Most likely the camera, the lens will literally explode, and this thing will be all scuffed up and still intact. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. All right, guys. We'll see you later. That is the Koolehaoda professional gimbal head. Back with more.